Dummy Switch Pod. We're back. I'm
Yes,
joined
sir. Yes,
by
sir.
my co-host in another undisclosed location. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Quarters. I'm good. I'm beginning to make this a habit being in undisclosed locations. But yeah, man, I'm good. How are you?
He's actually, I have to inform the viewers, he's actually the TMO. He's in the box right now making the decisions. That's where he is, looking at the screen.
Certainly doing a better job than the TMOs that we have
Yeah,
going
I
around
think
these days.
so. I think so. The refereeing was shocking this weekend, especially in this one, Western Province versus Pumas. In the end, the commentary team even had to call it out. They had to acknowledge, they tried to hold off for as long as possible. They always try and give them the benefit of the doubt and try and
Mm.
sort of mask the decisions. But I mean, it got around a certain point, and then I think it was Robbie Kempson was just he had enough. He had enough.
Yeah, you couldn't hold it in any longer, and that's the thing. The thing is, I think it's been said many a times, over the years, is that, just as players have to front up to the media, after maybe a bad game or whatever it may be, and coaches, that referees as well, they need to start explaining or at least fronting up to take us through some of the decisions, in terms of their reasoning behind it, so that we can understand how they come to those decisions within the games, especially big calls that sway the result
Yeah.
in one team's favor, and
I
it's
think that was
concerning.
that was that was the state of affairs in this one. I think, you know, obviously I'm not trying to save face about my prediction last week. I called the Pumas to win, but I think it would have been a different scoreline had there been
Yeah,
another ref on the field.
yeah. Look, it's the same. Look, I think, I also called Pumas to win, based on what they've done, so we're certainly not trying to save face. We're calling it like it is, and this is what it is. Dummy Switch Pod is about unfiltered rugby opinions, and this is our opinion, around what's been happening, and this is what we see. So yeah, I think it is concerning, the level of officiating and the decisions that they're making, and something needs to be done about this.
Definitely, and I had seen a picture prior of the ref, and I had sort of seen an article prior to me watching the game, but it was obviously after the game had happened.
Yeah,
And I was just looking at that picture saying, why did they put my brother up there looking like this? Then I watched the game and I fully understand it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Sweel out early in this one for Province.
Mm,
Voliter came on. With regards to the reffing, first thing I noticed was at the breakdown, he was calling it almost too fast.
yeah,
He was calling it almost too fast. Then the yellow card decision for the Pumas also, there was no screen, so he's essentially talking to the TMO, trying to get a better picture of what was happening. It looked very
yeah.
amateurish. It looked bad. It looked like a bad reflection on SA rugby. You know, even the
Yes.
constant going through the rules, mitigating factors, this and that. It was almost too textbook, too amateur. I wasn't happy
Yeah.
about that. Wasn't happy about that. Lee
And
Marvin
so,
Mazibuko can count himself the luckiest man in SA rugby. Uh, he really got away with one in this game.
mm, and for me, it's almost as if the man in the middle is so almost afraid to really use his own discretion. Thus, they're always relying on, okay, this is what the book says, this is what the law says. Okay, mitigating circumstances or factors, and it just, at the end of the day as well, it doesn't make for good watching, because it just drags the game on, and as viewers, we get frustrated with that, because we want to see swift decisions. Let's get the game going, and also with the breakdown, you want them to allow the game to flow, allow it to develop, and see a clearer picture, where we look at the breakdown. You can, at every breakdown in rugby, you can find the error if you're looking for one, and you can
Mm.
penalize both the attacking team or the defending team, and I feel most of the times, a lot of the times actually, the attacking teams do get away with a lot, as opposed to the defending teams at the breakdown. And the Pumas, look, I don't want to say they can count themselves unlucky, but certainly a lot of those decisions did influence the way that game played out, and thus rendered them guaranteed to lose, or guaranteed for them not to get a positive result out of that game. Again, as well, I'd also put it down to the consistency of the Pumas as well. I think it's one of the things we've been shouting about this whole Currie Cup, even from Super Rugby Unlocked, is teams like the Pumas and Griquas around the ability to back up a performance and be consistent. And that's where they're being found wanting on a weekly basis, 1 week up, 1 week down.
Even with that reffing, for me, as you said, that going through everything, it's like, I don't want to know how the voice is made. I just want the end product. Just tell us what's happening. Tell us, okay, this yellow card there. Don't go through this long checklist. And like you said, it holds up the game. I know you've been a vocal about the scrums taking up time. I think that yellow card took up too much time for me. The Pumas, for me, okay, I felt like it was a good performance. They had opportunities, had the scrums, because they were really dominant in the scrums. And I feel like, okay, taking that aside, they had some good counter-attacking opportunities. They did put points on the board. Unexperienced fly half, it did cost them. He was missing pins, missing kicks for touch, out on the full. You've got to say, maybe give Williams a bit of a rest. He's been playing all the games, but it's just an unfortunate situation where they find themselves where they've lost 2 fly halves and then having to rest the guy that filled in there. So that was a bit unfortunate for them. But in terms of counter-attacking, Obi, Cronje, Mafura, those guys were all threats. They were all threats during this game.
They did show their hand, and they did show what they can do. So I certainly agree with you that yes, they did have a good performance. I think for me, what frustrates me is the fact that they're not getting the result. That in some situations or some games that they have really deserved. And I think they really owe it to themselves to try and find that result, particularly against the bigger unions. I think at the end of the day, that's going to bode well for South African rugby when we have the so-called smaller unions being strong enough to really get results against your Western Provinces, your Sharks, and your Lions.
And I felt like they were there for the taking. Province were there for the taking. You go with a guy like Crystal September. I felt like he slowed the ball down too much. Service was very slow. He's almost, how players try and slow the ball to reset. He was almost doing it for the other team.
Yeah. He was allowing the Stormers a chance to breathe. The Western Province, sorry, a chance to breathe. And I think as well, again, from a Western Province perspective, yes, they won, but in terms of how they won, fine. They just got the result. They resorted back to route one basics. Mauling, which I felt that the Pumas really didn't do themselves justice by allowing the Western Province to maul them like that. And get those tries. And credit to Western Province for reverting to basic and taking the pragmatic approach to try and get that result, because it wasn't going to be good for them had they not got that win for Province against the Pumas, but at the same time they still unimaginative. You don't really see much from them, to be honest. Yes, there's some glimpses here and there where you can see that in
the second half they came out rolling.
Yeah.
They got a better rhythm. They got a better rhythm. They were going forward. Like, you could see they had a talking to at halftime.
Yeah. And as well, look, I think you also have to give credit to Cade Volita, because he seemed to be driving them around the park pretty nicely as well. And he certainly stuck his hand up, and he looks comfortable at this level. For me, I see him. I see him as one for the future, and it's going to be interesting. In the coming season, or when Haaland comes back and is able to take up his spot at fullback in terms of the shootout at 10 between Volita and Damian Willemse, because at the moment Volita looks like looks like a guy that's been playing at Province for the past couple of seasons, and yet he's still a youngster, and I felt a big part of them being able to get that rhythm as well comes from, yes, they had a talking to, certainly they did, you'd imagine that they did, and they pack really rolling up their sleeves, but then again, him driving them around the pitch, and he certainly did a good job to ensure that they got that win, so at the end of it, look, on the balance of things, the Province ended up the stronger team, and they ended up winning because they took what was on offer for them, and the Pumas didn't, and that's where the Pumas could really kick themselves, the fact that they didn't take the opportunities that were there for them to really put the Province under pressure, because I think a Western Province team under pressure is certainly a very different team to a team that's got a lead and in front at home.
Yeah. For me, I mean, yeah, Province with that 10, I think maybe you'll find Willemse being pushed into that 13 channel because they're having problems at center right now. I think when Haaland comes back, maybe that's what might happen for them. I mean, they can also count the reffing. It looked like a bit of a double movement for the Pumas try. So I mean, they can also, but balance of play and what they got, I don't think they can be too aggrieved. Janchis came on slapping the ball, diving over the ruck and slapping the ball, a bit senseless. I don't know. He's just looked like a player that's just been frustrated since we resumed rugby. I feel Province, the scoreline flattered them. Them getting that extra try where the Pumas were probably the unlucky ones and could have, they could have leveled it up there late. So, but like you said, it all falls on their mistakes, kicks not out, line outs. They haven't been a lucky side. And sometimes I think that's what you need. But I can't. Looking at the way that they've played, looking at the setup, looking at the coaching, I can't fault them for what they've done throughout, the resumption of play. I feel like they've been solid, and I feel like they've done better than maybe what I would have projected them to do.
Yeah. No, certainly. The only thing that they don't have is the wins in the column, in terms of what they're doing. They certainly have something good brewing there, but they're just struggling for the wins, and look, guaranteed they'll certainly learn and grow from this. They have some very good players. There's some gems in their squad, that can really take them to potentially, in the next sort of edition of Currie Cup in 2021, take them through to being at least a top 4 team, in terms of where they'd finish. But, there's still a lot of work to do for them. So, look, at the end of the day, Western Province did enough just to get that win. They were lucky, yes. That's for sure. And you're right. The Pumas don't have the luck right now, and Western Province seem to have been finding that luck. So
I think
that's
that's the luckiest man. That's the luckiest man in SA rugby right now. Like, you can only think of the swing that happened to him being seen as the dominant guy when he was the guy that's actually struggling. I've been on that side myself, where the referee for some reason thinks that you've got the ascendancy when you don't, and he can count himself lucky. He was just rolling with it.
I think it's also reputation, because the Western Province are known to have a strong scrum. So the perception, I think, would be when the referee goes into that game is already in his mind, probably already made up that, this team has definitely got the stronger scrum, and whatever picture he sees, whether consciously or subconsciously.
And I think it's difficult if you haven't played front row. It's sort of difficult, like Kempson can give an in-depth thing and tell you exactly what's going on. Whereas the ref, I doubt, looking at him, that he's played in the front row before. So sort of, who's angling in, You know who's
Yes.
got the tendency, and you know who's going sideways if you've been there before. And I think the ref just didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and you can see it. If you're looking at it, you can see it, and again, it's the whole team, because in some games you'll find the assistant referees on the touchline, they'll be able to give a
Yeah.
call and say, this guy's angling in, or this guy has dropped his bind, or,
Yeah, we saw that in
he's
the next game.
in the next game. Yeah, certainly, but again, Pumas, unlucky. They need to learn. They need to take their opportunities, and they'll get a chance against the Cheetahs, which I think will be an exciting game, but we'll go into that a bit later.
Yeah, let's get into the next game. Rescheduled, kickoff earlier. It would have been that evening game, Sharks versus the Bulls. Your boys here.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. First half for me didn't really get going. Second half it sort of got going more. Again, reffing, but this one was more around the yellow card decisions. That low on Stain for me, it shouldn't have even been a penalty for me. He couldn't slow down in time. So, I mean, I'm giving the guy benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah. The thing is, look, that game was a hard watch, and I think the conditions as well made it difficult for the players to get going, particularly in that first half. But one thing I can agree with you is that with that first yellow card, for Marius Lowe, for me, I just don't understand. This is a collision sport. The guy was chasing down. It is a mark, and he clearly tried to slow down and pull and really he tried to slow his own momentum down, and at the same time he basically upon contact he tried to hold Stain up.
Yeah, there's only two things you can do in that situation is either shield yourself or go in to sort of like hug the guy to seeing the impact for both of you.
Yeah, and for me, for that to be a yellow card, where they said the contact was
to the head.
Was to the head. The thing is, that's where I find the confusion. It's head on head. And we even see it in the second yellow card where the Bulls got a yellow card, where they said, well, the impact is head on head. The thing is, that was a tackle situation. Both guys were going low. And in a collision sport, you'd expect that there would be some head clashes. And certainly you'd see, I've seen yellow cards for much worse than that. Or I've seen actually much worse than that being let off from just either penalty or just a talking to, And that's what I felt should have happened with the Marius Lowe decision. Should have just been a talking to say, listen, you got to get your timing right, and remember to keep it down. There's no need for him to be yellow carded. And the same with Van Rooyen. It should have really been, at best, a penalty, at the most, but certainly a talking to speak about the height of the contact. But in that situation, that second tackle, both of the guys were going low. The guy that's carrying the ball, as every rugby player is taught, is, you need to go low in the contact so that you can sort of explode in the contact. And at the same time, the guy that's tackling, you're also taught to go low. So at the same time, how low must we go? There needs to really be a review of how the game is being approached. And Dwayne Vermeulen was quite right when he was saying, ask Lukanyam, should we just start playing touchies, because it's a collision sport, and here we are with us. He's going low, the defender's going low, the attack is also going low. It's unfortunate that there's head-to-head contact, but fact of the matter is the shoulder does not touch his head, and for me, that's where the laws need to take in contact with the neck and head area. That's when we'd look at, starting off on, and it shouldn't be starting off on the red. You should be starting off, okay, is it a penalty? Yes, tick that off. Doesn't need to be, doesn't need to be
that way around.
Doesn't need to be a yellow card, yes or no, depending on the sort of intent or what the perceived intent that we would see on the replay, and that would determine whether that would be a yellow or a red card. But for me, there was no intent from Van Rooyen to make contact with the guy's head. It was just an unfortunate situation. It didn't deserve.
And that's how props tackle, man. that's how props tackle. So I mean, trying to absorb that contact with your upper body, it's just that's just how certain players tackle, especially in that position. Um,
It's the
Later in the
mechanics, you
first
know.
half, yeah, later in the first half, your boys started playing some rugby finally, getting the offloads going there, some broken play.
Yeah,
They did good to sort of get balls
mm,
in that
the
situation
Libok,
where there was that broken play. Lubbock coming in with the half break and the offload.
Libok,
Lucanio arm in for the try.
Libok. Yeah, like for me, I think, like I said last week, I felt Money Libok has started to make that 15 jersey his own at the Sharks, and he's looking more and more comfortable there. And I kind of like him, having his hands on the ball more because, look, we've seen him do it when he was at the Bulls, where if you give him space and you allow him to come at your defensive line, he is going to make a break. He's that kind of player that does make those mini breaks, and he will get them all the way, and he did. And got that try, well-deserved try. I think it just shows you just have to move that ball around, and they managed to move that Bulls pack around, and they nullified. I felt like they cancelled out the loose forward trio, cancelled each other out, in terms of that, because Van Staden had little sort of impact on the game except for his try, of which I even want to go back to that try decision, where the Sharks try, that was the player was in the ruck and he picked the ball up, and
Yeah, yeah,
look,
yeah.
he thought he scored, but it wasn't a try. That's absolute correct decision. Then Van Staden's try, I believe it was the same situation. He was also part of the ruck. Even worse, he was off his feet at the ruck and he picked the ball up, and he was allowed to score, and that was given as a try. For me, there's inconsistency in that. That shouldn't have been a try. I don't believe it should have been a try. In my view, I don't know what you think about that.
I don't know. I'll give them. I'll give them the first one. I didn't look too closely at the Van Staden one, so I
Yeah,
can't really comment there. Um, but yeah, going, they got go forward for that second opportunity they had. They got go forward, they got it going. So I felt like the Sharks did get it going a bit. But
yeah,
this is more of what we need to see for them. I think Nkosi and Pentle, they were vital in certain passages, especially with that first try, with
yes.
regards to putting pressure on the wings, chasing
Mm-hmm.
kicks. That was big for them, especially the fact that they had a winger on debut for the Bulls who
Yeah,
they caught him out a bit.
they did. They did. They put him under a lot of pressure, and I mean, you see the value of Sbu Nkosi as a Springbok. I think that hit
Yeah,
that he had on Stedman Gans, that was a good read in the defensive line, and that's what you need. You need to cut out the Bulls space out wide, and he read they played pretty well. Then Pengle is a hard man. Like defensively, even in his chase when he had some of the Bulls players like in their 5 meter area, he was making his hits. And a well-deserved try, good cross kick again. Currie Bosch. Look, he has been stepping up, being stable. And look, he's kicking all his goals, and he's putting the players, he's putting his guys into space. They're scoring tries. I read an article where the coach, his coach believes he looks more like an international 10. I disagree.
yeah. I saw big write-ups on that, and I'm not so sure myself.
Yeah, I certainly disagree. Yes, did he take all the points that are on offer for him? Yes, he did. He did all the things right, but as an international 10, no, and not yet. I think a lot of it goes down to the work rate of the Sharks pack. We saw Dylan Richardson, he was getting pumped up. He's even getting in Dwayne Vermeulen's face at some point, and
Ah, you must be
I just
careful there.
felt
You must be careful what you wish to see there.
that was ill-advised. That was ill-advised by the young man because it may happen. They may meet to the semi-final, and he may really regret getting in the big man's face. Personally, I wouldn't do that, and certainly as a young up-and-coming player, I wouldn't do that. You have to, at least look between the four lines. You don't respect anybody, but you must respect your elders. At some point, you can't lose that respect factor. So yeah. But overall, like I said, a tough game to watch. I felt Noche was quiet as well. Like I think I said it
Yeah.
last week that the loose forward trio of the Sharks looks good, and the one person that I feel needs to sort of step up is Noche, and I don't think he really did have an impact on that game. You know, for me, I felt even a guy like Tembelani Boli, when he came on, you know, he had great leg driving, carrying.
I think Bolly had a good impact.
He did. I think Boli had a very, very good impact. You know, good leg driving the carries. So, you know, besides, you know, stupid, gave away a silly penalty, to be honest, you know, and then, yeah, look, from a scrumming perspective, it was stable, you know. Ox and Chair, you were certainly looking to step up to Trevor, and I felt it was more of a sort of it was an even battle, and
The action was happening on the other side with
on the other
Dutoy.
side of the scrum,
Yeah, Dutoy did better than I thought he would.
Yeah, and he had Van Rooyen under a lot of pressure for me.
Yeah, it was one to forget for Van Rooyen.
Yeah, it really was, you know, and look, credit to the Sharks, you know, in terms of, look, I thought it was going to be what I said, Sharks by 8, I think, you know, turned out to be by 3, a much closer game. On the balance, I think, well deserved win for them in terms of they really applied themselves and they put themselves in a position to really win that game. I really feel that the reason why the Bulls even got to a point where they could draw the game was down to the referee. I mean, I think that was like 4 minutes or 4 minutes of reset scrums up until the penalty went the Bulls' way, you know, and I just couldn't understand, because at one point there was a time where that ball was at the back of the scrum, and that should have been allowed to.
Ball was out.
Ball was out. It should have been allowed to play out. But the referee said, "Oh, there's nobody that's dominant. Let's go again." And you know, up until the point where the Bulls got the reward, and I think justified. Oh, you know, in some way, Mornay Steyn missed their penalty, because at the end of the day, I think the Sharks did just enough to win that game. You know, Bulls were a little bit off color, you know, in terms of their play. Look, they scored some good tries utilizing the space. Cornell Hendricks.
Yeah, Cornell Hendricks, when he gets the overlap, he's going to finish. I think he's been good at that this season.
Very good at that, you know. I think Bulls will need to look. I don't think they'll be panicking in terms of this result. You know, they're still on top of the log, so they won't really be panicking. I think main thing for them would just be, I think they shouldn't be looking to sort of experiment anymore with the players, having in new players. I guess they want to look and see what their depth is like, but the balance that they had a few weeks ago before they moved Currie to fullback and things like that, I think they had the right balance there, and now they're starting to sort of tinker a bit with it, and it's not gonna, and that might trip them up going forward if they continue in that fashion. But overall, look, it was just like I said, a tough game to watch, a tough watch. Yes, it got exciting there close to the end, you know, punch and counter punch, you know, in terms of tries, but yeah, well-deserved win for the Sharks.
Yeah, the Sharks, for me, Nohamba didn't have a great one.
No, he didn't.
That's, you know, I can give Bosch his credit in that the Sharks were conceding territory. They were giving away penalties in their own half, and that sort of final 20, he stepped up with Nohamba not playing well, with Hendricks coming on. You know, there was a point where they were in the Bulls 22 and they got driven back to the halfway, but he still found territory in their 22, which was it was vital in them winning the game and led up to that cross kick. So I mean, I give him his credit. He's putting through the kicks which we saw in the last game, young fly half's not doing. He's showing his experience, he's showing how well. And he's showing, I mean, he showed up Steyn a bit, because, you know, Steyn missing his to draw the game there. So I mean, I can give him his flowers and his credit, but international fly half, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, certainly, I completely agree with you. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away the credit and not taking away what he's been able to do for the Sharks. You know, I just at the moment I just don't see him as an international 10. You know, but yeah, you're right about Nohamba. Nohamba didn't have his best game. His box kicking was very shallow. He was putting essentially what was happening. He was putting the Sharks under a lot of pressure because he wasn't getting any depth on his box kicks. You know, they're very shallow. So the guys on the 10-meter radius, you know, thus penalties being given away. and unnecessarily so. And we saw the difference with Jaden Hendrickson coming on, which I think is a very good player. Looks a very handy player to he was able to get some good depth on the box kicks. He was able to vary the play a bit more, in terms of whenever they did have the ball. It was really just two very strong teams and packs, I think, going against one another. And the difference was small, and the scoreline did show that out at the end of the day. You can't really say more or say much about that, outside of the refereeing decisions, the dubious yellow cards, and the reset scrums, which is really, that annoys me so much. But end of the day, I'm happy. Sharks got the W.
Yeah,
So,
big win for Sharks. Big win for the Sharks.
It was big, certainly.
They needed it. Moving on to the next one, more entertaining. I think the most entertaining of the weekend.
Yes, sir.
We saw some Shampizi, some Shampopo, some Babli, some proper play here.
Oh, man.
So, the Lions really got it going at a stage in this game. And we saw, the PE coach, the fitness man, he's, I have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
He's turned it around. And he's close to making me a believer. He's close.
Yeah.
Not quite,
yeah.
but he's close. Good game, this one.
Look, good game. And the PE coach, look, he had a rough start, to his coaching tenure in Super Rugby initially, and even Super Rugby Unlocked, and slightly in the beginning of Currie Cup. But the team is slowly, they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, and that's a big thing for me as well, because they got in Yanni du Plessis and they got in Willem Alberts. At the time, I was looking at it like, these are guys, I wouldn't say over the hill, but they're getting there. They're up there in age. So you've got guys that sort of, these unpositions that the Lions are lacking in. So I'm wondering, we've got Carlos Sadi. Why would you need Yanni du Plessis? But I think we saw in this one the value of those guys, and I've been proven wrong. Like you said, putting the pieces together, they really did in this one.
Yeah, and I think we did touch on it a bit last week to say that we would see the value of Willem Alberts. I think I was focusing more on Willem Alberts to say his value because we saw it in the last game, But again, even in this game, it was, I think for the Lions, they can be very happy in terms of what they were able to produce on the day. It started out a bit like a KG affair. Going shots at goal, saying,
Cheetahs were taking those points early.
Yeah, to say, listen, we're taking the 3 points, put in a 64-meter bomb or however meters was, put it over the post. And then, I don't know, from there, the Lions decided that they want to play, and they started playing, and there was some beautiful rugby, good offloads. And it looks like they have emphasis now on really trying to the Lions have been known for generating quick ball, and that's what they were doing. And in this game, if you can get quick ball and have that, have the ball in the hands of a player in a better position, the defense is going to be under pressure. And we saw that. We saw that with Warner's second try. It was offloads with the order of the day. You saw that with Yanni du Plessis' try as well. It was offloads in the tackle or the order of the day. And I think a guy, and he ended up winning man of the match. Vincent Chitoka was outstanding.
He was big.
He was really massive for the Lions. In terms of from his carrying, from his work at the breakdown, and his general work rate. I think he's one for the future. And
he puts in the hours. He puts in the overtime. He puts in. That's a worker.
I know that guy. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see him being in contention to be in a national squad selection, because damn, he really put his hand up, and I think the Cheetahs, the scoreline flattered the Cheetahs, to be honest, because the Lions started making their changes. And I think maybe the Lions, the only place where they'll be concerned is their bench now, because they find themselves in a situation where early on in the season, when the bench came on, the bench had a good impact and were able to sort of keep up the momentum and get the points. Whereas this time around, it looked like they slowed down a little bit and they took their foot off.
And
Off
it's
the pedal.
also the difference between chasing a game and having a big lead. You know,
Yeah,
these are guys that if you want them to come on and chase, that's what they're made for. They're made for
yeah,
purpose. They're made for chasing the game,
yeah.
holding on to a big lead. You can see, I don't think, I, I doubt a lot of those guys would have been in that position recently, in recent times. You know,
Yeah,
but as you
but
said early on, it was quite tight.
mm,
They were trading those long range kicks, 60-meter kicks. Stain showing Sonopool, I'm the guy that started this thing. You know, quite tight. You know, Wagner was giving the Lions some problems up front, and
yeah,
but I mean, scrums. You know, Mchunu, he was under pressure, but I still, you know, I'm retaining my stock. I'm retaining my stock. I still believe in him. Uh,
yes,
that being said, though, Steve had a very big game. He had a very big game. Him and
yeah.
Yanni Duplessis, they built that
They did,
dominance. They
they
built
did.
that dominance, and it was unfortunate for the Cheetahs that they couldn't get possession in the end and they couldn't get territory.
Yeah, I think that's where they really struggled, you know. And again, credit to the Lions pack because I think that win for the Lions was based on their pack and the work rate of their pack, you know, and it allowed the backs to and the Yankees to control the game from there, you know, and put the
Yeah,
guys away, put the guys into space, you know. So it's certainly massive shift from him. Yanni Duplessis is the same, you know, and I think Albert's Alberts
big carries from
and
Alberts.
yeah, and Ori as well, and the work that he
Yeah,
does in the lineouts. I think Marvin Ori is somewhat underrated, but you know, in terms of the work that he does in the lineouts and disrupting opposition ball, he's very good at that. You know, as much as Wagner, particularly in the first half, he was really being a thorn in the Lions' side. You know, eventually they found a way to nullify him and you know take him out of that game. By the time that that second half had started, you know, so you know, like I say, that really goes down to the Lions pack. You know, we saw Yaku Creole. You know, we're seeing his
once you
vintage
get
runs
him in
on
the trams there, then
yeah,
he's dangerous. And even the thought process, you know, instead of going wide, going inside, it's just
mm,
it's what I thought about during this game. There was a phase of play. I think it led to that try where
mm-hmm,
from a line out, ball got disrupted, went to Yanchis, and it was a point where you can see these guys have seen everything before in terms of
yeah,
Yanchis and Skosan. They cleaned
yeah,
it up so well. It's like there's no scenario they haven't seen, so they know how to
yeah,
deal with it easily. You look
mm,
at the Bulls game where you know you've got a winger that's making his debut.
mm,
He's not going to know how to deal with something. You know, he hasn't seen that before at this level.
yeah,
Skosan, he's seen that before. He's seen everything.
many times, and that's the experience factor. You know, and look, the Cheetahs really for them. I expected. Look, we called it. We did say Lions by. I think we said by 15, but we called the Lions win. But you would have expected a bit more from the Cheetahs, just in terms of because the way that some of the Lions tries were scored, it looked a bit too easy. You know, it looked a bit too easy. You know, I'm not taking away credit from the Lions in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
execution. I was just questioning, you know, in terms of the Cheetahs, you know, the direction that they're going in. They seem to be going backwards more than anything else, you know, at a rapid rate of knots. And the only player that I can say, you know, yes, Wagner, he put his hand up, and I think Francis Steyn, he was really annoyed, and you saw that in the second half because
Yeah,
he was really giving his all. You know, I think his ears were burning from last week where he said, you know, he didn't look like that international player that he is, and you know, he really, you could see he was trying to lift the guys and carry the team, you know, and the thing is, you need everybody to be on the same page, you know. And Zila as well, he was really effort, you know, the effort was there. It's just not clicking for them at the moment,
yeah. I mean, they
and
showed character to hit back when you know that
yeah,
Haas try, and they were moving the ball faster, and they were playing on that game line when they started playing faster,
Yes.
hitting it flat. But
Yeah.
it was too late, and you got a guy like Rudolph. He was just giving away too many penalties. It was just
Yeah.
hard for them to get going.
Yeah.
Compared to yeah,
I felt Rudolph was a bit too clumsy, in
yeah,
terms of the thing is he's definitely he's a better player than that, and I think that's what's killing him right now is the fact that he's a bit too clumsy in his decision making. He's I think his issue right now is knowing when to go for it and when not to go for it,
yeah,
and that's where he's sort of he needs to find his balance. Ruben De Haas, he did well when he came on. He sort of lifted the tempo for the Cheetahs, and like you say, they were right there on that advantage line, and that's where they found some success. And I think for them that would have to be their formula going forward, is looking to play very close to that advantage line, and having that ball move more, and instead of trying to carry, because I kind of feel like they sort of deviated a bit from what they've done historically well, which is really move that ball well and really put teams under pressure through the carries. Of course, you're only as good as your opposition allows you to play, and the Lions were certainly good in making sure that they don't have quality ball, and defensively, I think the Lions were very strong. They at the end, substitutions were made, and of course the Cheetahs were able to sort of get some respectability in the scoreline. But I think on the day, nobody was going to beat the Lions.
This team, you look. Creel had a big game. Dan Creel had a big game.
Yeah.
You just go through the side, and everyone just played well. There was a point where they said they were hands of an angel. These guys, they were just moving that ball.
Yeah.
It was really good stuff. Like, I'm happy. I'm impressed. Even to that point of the break that Swanepoel made came off. You're winning the game. They kick to Chitoka. It takes 4 men to bring him down.
Yeah.
You're looking at that and you're saying, I mean, it's around sort of 50th, 60th minute.
Yeah.
And there's 4 Cheetahs players falling off of him. That's something that you like to see from your side. I mean, at that point, guys are just falling off your players. It must be good for them sitting up in the coach's box.
Yeah, I think the coaches were pretty happy with that, and I think again, it's like Chitoka he had grease over him with that carry, because guys were falling off him like flies. It was. That's why I say some of it just looked a bit too easy for the Lions, and you have to question look, for me, you have to question the commitment of those Cheetahs players, because you're getting yourself in that position. Yes, the guy may be a strong ball carrier, but you are getting yourself in that position. Why are you not making the tackle? And it's off a kickoff. They've just scored. It's your chance to put them under pressure, and try and get some points back, or get yourself in a position to get possession back. And look, quite rightly so, they were punished. And the Lions, look, take my hats off to them. Performance of the weekend, team of the weekend for me. Quarters, no, your team, but they were hot.
They're coming to win it. I mean, Stian Pienaar as well.
Yes, he had a good game.
Leg drive always,
difficult.
massive game. Everybody, Similani, even when, he didn't put a foot wrong. He didn't sort of get the ball in positions where he could light up the place, but, he did well. Lions team keep rolling, playing the Sharks. They're playing the Sharks. Round 4. Let's get into round 4.
I was about to say they must keep rolling, but not well enough this weekend. They must have a blip this weekend, because this is a head-to-head clash between me and you, Quarters.
Round 4, first game sees Pumas visiting the Cheetahs. Williams back as 10. They've decided to put Bortis on the bench. There was a step too far for him, 19-year-old guy.
Yeah.
What can you expect? You know what I mean? So, I mean, he did well given the circumstances, but Williams back at 10, Talyard back on the wing. Landsberg gets a bit of a rest. He's on the bench. For how dominant they were in the scrums, this should be a good one up front against the Cheetahs, Bowen, Fenter, and Nkunu.
Yeah.
It should be a good one for them. The cheaters, you've got Ya out. You've got Duncan Saal, varsity cup man, likes to light it up and get the tries. He's getting his first start. Dries Swanepoel in at 13.
I felt he did well when he came on last week.
Yeah, he was hitting it hard on the advantage line. Francois Steyn in at 10. De Haas gets a start at 9. Mahoje on the bench.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like you said, they maybe reverted away from their identity. I think playing De Haas at 9, Francois Steyn at 10, and Swanepoel at 13, I think they'll be hitting that line a lot harder.
Yeah.
I think this is conducive to fast ball, the selections that they've made.
And with Mnisi at 12 as well, I think that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that ball to move. But Mnisi definitely is going to use his feet. He's got good hands, good feet. With Steyn at 10, definitely it's a multi-threat that Steyn provides, because he can either carry that ball if it's not on, he can push the Pumas back, with that big boot. And I think he's also a good distributor, and probably even when he does carry that ball, he'll be able to get offloads away. So I think this is the game for the cheaters to really redeem themselves and really actually just put together a win and put the Pumas away. Pumas will be licking their lips in this one to think, because they are at home and they'll be thinking that they have a chance. That's one thing for sure, is that I think the Pumas will be thinking, we have a chance here. We can actually claim a win against one of these so-called big unions. And I think it's going to be an exciting game. I hope it is going to be an exciting game. I think it should be, because both teams can move the ball, certainly.
Yeah, Pumas both got very dangerous backlines.
Yeah. So look, my call, I'd say here, cheaters to take this one. I'd give them about 6 points.
I'm going cheaters. I think between 8 and 12.
Yeah.
I'll go more 12. I think cheaters gonna come out firing in this one. Staying at 10. He's influential, and then now you're moving him to arguably one of the most influential positions, playing at 10. So I think we're going to get a big one from him. Greek was Bulls cancelled. Guys testing positive there. Bulls. Bulls. I think it was Bulls players, but for me, it's like Bulls. It's very convenient for them.
Yeah, so that they don't have to go down to Kimberley. Look, it's true. It is convenient.
Yeah, and I mean also,
and at the same time, it's really, you have to question what sort of protocols. Sorry, I was saying you have to question what sort of protocols do they have in place. All these teams, every I think you have to look back at all the games that have been called off because of COVID. Did we not learn? Were there not lessons learned? In order to ensure that these games are not cancelled. Because now we've been robbed of an extra game. We've been robbed of seeing what the Griquas can do. And if I was the Griquas, I wouldn't be happy about this situation. Because they seem to have been that team that has suffered the most, where COVID situations or COVID outbreaks, the Lions and the Bulls, and the games were cancelled, and it doesn't help the Griquas' cause. I'm not saying that they were going to be they could go out there and beat the Bulls by 20 points, but it certainly does deny them the opportunity to sort of build on what they're trying to achieve as a group and as a rugby team. So I'm disappointed in the Bulls. I'm really disappointed in the Bulls and their protocols, and just overall in terms of how this is playing out. Because we should have learned from the first COVID situation that ensured there was a cancelled game. They should have got their heads together and made sure that we don't have a repeat of this, because now it just looks bad all around.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulls team coming off of a loss, and then you get a break, and Griquas would have been prepared. It's very convenient for them. But that's
true.
Neither here nor there. Lions versus the Bulls. You've got a Lions
Sharks
team. Sorry, against the Sharks. Sorry. Lions, same team, barring last-minute changes. They've just got a few guys bracketed. I think it's Stee and Chituka.
Yeah.
Sharks will be hoping that those guys don't make it. Uh,
No, bring
on
them
the
on. It's
bench,
okay.
be careful what you want. You got Urendal and Sadi on the bench. Ilengo makes a comeback. For me, where's Makwani? Where is he? Is he injured
Yeah.
or what's going
Well,
on?
we don't
Because
know. We don't know what's going
I
on.
haven't seen any updates on him, and they mentioned Ulengo's back. Sharks team changes in tight forwards. I like this
Yeah.
tight five. I like this tight five. They've got
Yeah.
JJ Faramesh in, Kumberai in, who he had a good impact against the Bulls.
He did.
Ashton Fortain in,
Yeah.
Hiron Andrews. I'm warning you, watch out. This man is also he's coming for a starting
Yeah.
position there. So
Yeah.
I think Hiron must watch out.
He definitely should.
Should be a good game. Ellis Park. Hope the conditions are good.
Yeah.
I'm backing the Lions,
Of course.
as I do. I'll give it to them by 5. I think coming off the performance last week, these guys are going to be feeling good.
Yeah.
Playing at home. I mean, the Sharks also, they'll be feeling good after coming off their situation, but I've just got the Lions in this one. I think Janchis is going to show Cohen Bosch who the real 10 is. And I'm excited for this one. You know, the matchups all around the field, the wingers versus each other.
Yeah.
Centers, I think Lions slightly ahead there. It should be good. Loose forward battle, it should be good. Richardson, you know, he's got a bit of a thing there going on. Is in his step, he's feeling himself. So let's see how he does against Yaku Creel and the boys, eh? Yaku Creel and the boys. Let's see if he does it.
Look, Quarters. It's gonna be. Look, I'm hoping weather plays its part and allows for a free flowing game. You know, I think it'll be good to see a free flowing game between the Sharks and the Lions and see essentially what the Sharks can do. I think the Sharks in this game would want to try and, you know, keep it a bit more tight. I think we're going to see a lot of kicking up front from the Sharks to try and rather to try and pin the Lions back in their own territory and say to them, play from there, you know, and not give them good quality territory or possession. You know, for me, yes, you're going with the Lions, of course. I'm always going to back my boys. You know, I see this one being one of those. You know, we've seen some classics between the Lions and the Sharks where it goes down to the wire, last kick of the game.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like that.
I see that kind of a game, and the way that Currie and Bosch has been kicking at goal, you know, and it's at altitude. I see him, you know, nailing a 50-meter bomb from the right-hand touchline, you know, to win the game for the Sharks by 3 points. So that's my call, you know, is Sharks to take it by 3. I don't see them running the Lions, right? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to do that to the Lions. They're going to try, and more than anything, that's what they're going to look to do. And I think this game is really going to be big for, like you say, Dylan Richardson. You know, he needs to back up. He's half and puff from last week. He needs to back it up this week because, you know, the Lions, give the Lions quick ball, they will punish you. And that's where, this is where we're going to see now, you know, in terms of what the Sharks are capable of. I think maybe this is the game where Skhumbuzo Noche may find, he may enjoy this game a bit more, being able to roam around. But this is going to require a big shift from the Sharks forward pack. I like the tight 5 as well. I certainly agree with you. So overall, I just see it being a good game. Sanele Nohamba needs to just, you know, recalibrate his play and his kicking. I wouldn't say he's off form. He just had a bad day. Not that he had a bad day. Just had an average day at the office, and he can do better. And I think he'll be looking to do that because this is a big game. This is a very big game.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think from my side, looking at the Sharks team, Lobok's been known to cut us open when he was at the Bulls, so I'm always wary of Lobok. Spoon Corsi, he always
Spoon
gives us
Corsi as well.
problems. He always gives us
Yeah.
problems. So those are the danger, man. Even Kerwin Bosch, hey, he can give us problems. But hey, he gives us problems regularly. So, but we'll see. I think the Lions will front up in this one. I'm excited. Good game for this one. It's a shame no fans in the stands, because this would have been one of
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
one of those games.
Absolutely. But like we say, this is a big game for both teams. I think the Lions, yes, as much as they seem to have all the pieces of the puzzle coming together, the Sharks as well. They need to again. Yes, they got that win against the Bulls, but now they need to. For them, the next thing is about, like we always say, backing it up. They need to back it up. I think the pressure is more on the Sharks than it is on the Lions.
Yeah.
In this game, so can't wait.
Before we head out, just want to talk about Gianchi, Apua Gianchi, 4-year ban being given. He claims he drank from his friend's water bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm buying that story. Either way, I can't blame him, because what they've said he took, it helps in rehabilitation and what have you. And I mean, who doesn't want to go to the World Cup? So either way, whether it was a friend's bottle or whether it was him just trying to go to the World Cup, I can't fault the man. He hasn't played for about a year, so it would mean essentially 3 years.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, and I mean, they were talking about the appeal. I don't know if he will appeal or not, but it means 3 years from now. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It really is unfortunate, And I think, look, at the end of the day, is his argument in his defense is really weak. That's the truth has to be told. His argument is weak. I think we find ourselves in a situation here. I think, firstly, let me say this: that 4-year ban is harsh, because the minimum and the standard should be 2 years, according to the CAS or the anti-doping laws. The minimum should be 2 years. He's a first-time offender, so it should have been 2 years. And in fact, because he had really not been playing for a year, it should have been down to 1 year. 2 years, and he's already served the 1 year, should be just another year, and he should be able to get back to play and put bread on the table. But on the other side of it is, people need to be, I think he needs to be honest. Let's not lie. I think it's been reported here and there about doping culture in South African rugby from a schoolboy level, and we have seen a lot of cases from professionals also being caught out doping, So it's either that guys need to open the can of worms and expose the system so that everything can be started from a clean slate. Otherwise, we're going to find a lot more players like that Gianchi's careers being cut short, because they're probably doing what is involved in the system. I'm speculating, yes or no, but probably what is being done within the systems, and at the end of the day, being left to being hung out to dry.
Yeah, they left him. Rassi, he washed his hands of him the minute it came out. And I just feel also, if you want to talk mitigating factors, the guy had an injury. He was just trying to get back on the field. I don't think that 4 years for someone that's just trying to get back on the field, first time offender, playing. I don't know.
He wasn't playing. It should have been 2 years, but for me, there's a lot of murky waters in that topic, and I think there's a lot more that is unknown, within the rugby fraternity from those professional structures. And there's a lot more that's going on that is unspoken, because my thing is, there haven't been players that have come out to say anything. And what I mean by that, you haven't had a guy come out and say, no, doping is bad, don't do it, it's unfortunate, or you know what I mean?
I feel like there's a lot more people that know what's going on. That's
what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, like Rassi, I'm sure he knew what was going on, and probably told him it's on you. You get caught, you get caught.
Yeah, you know the risks. Yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, we can't deny it that it just seems as if there's a culture within our rugby, but it's unspoken. You don't talk about it. You know, if you get caught, you run the risk. You know,
Yeah.
you know you run the risk here, and if you get caught, you get caught. You cannot, you cannot open the can of worms, and that's why I'm saying that I would open the can of worms. You know, what has he got
And
to
it's
lose?
also, for me, I find that the guys that are getting caught, there's the circumstances surrounding them are always a bit,
Yeah.
it's a bit fishy. All the circumstances. You look at Chili Boy, the career he's had, sort of. You look at other guys that I know that have got it tested, sort of performing too well in preseason, and then it's a bit of those guys doing a bit too well, and then I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but like the circumstances around the guys that get caught, it's almost it's I don't know. It's very
convenient for them to get caught.
Yes, it's convenient for them to leave those guys out to dry.
To dry,
yeah,
basically.
It's convenient. It's convenient. Look at Apio's situation, not going to the World Cup. He sort of Rassi. It was convenient for that to happen because he didn't have to answer the questions as to why isn't he coming with.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah,
but all we can do is we speculate until somebody comes out.
Until the books get released when we're old men.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen, because we need to know, because there's much more to this than just what it is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, certain Springboks getting medical conditions that are extremely rare in our loose forwards. But moving on.
Let's sleeping dogs.
Yes, let's leave those guys have retired now, so let's leave those ones. We'll wait for their books. But that's it from us this week. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Anything else from you, Chris?
Oh no, that's all from me, Quarters. Just everyone, let's enjoy the festive season. Keep the social distancing and things like that. Let's just look after ourselves. So we look forward to good end of the year rugby, and also looking forward to 2021.
Looking forward to this week's matches. We'll be back next week. Round up. That's it. Dummy Switch Pod out.